Welcome to the Nevcast, where three bros talk business, art, justice, and the pursuit of Jesus.
Any day above ground is a good day.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and kiss 30 minutes goodbye with Peter Nevland,
Dave Nevland,
and Rashid. Here we are on a fine Monday morning, the Nevcast. What's up, Dave? How you doing?
Oh, is this the start now?
Rashid, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, good brother?
I'm doing just fine. I'm just doing fine. You know, I think there's probably some people listening. They're going to go, why do they say three bros? You know, talk about justice, business, and art in pursuit of Jesus. First of all, maybe we should tackle the question, why three bros? Because two of us sound alike, and one of us does not sound like the other. So I'm going to throw it to Rashid first. Why do we say three bros in the intro?
Three bros, because we all brothers, man. Like, we all brothers, man. Like, all God's children. So, you know, it don't matter the skin color or none of that. We really came from the same mother or father.
That's right.
We bros because God made us and he wants us to be brothers, man.
There you go.
You know, that's the way I look at it. I think God wants us to not be divided as a people. I think he wants us to all be together. I think this race thing fucked everything up, man.
Sure did. Hey, so let me ask you a question, Rashid. So, you know, I used to say, and we'd be talking, and sometimes I still slip and say this, and I'd say, you know, because you're my friend, and you'd always correct me, you know, say that we're not just friends. Like, you know, why'd you always say that?
Because you was a brother, man. You treated me like a brother. You know, like when nobody else wouldn't fuck with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even you mess with me, bro. It wasn't like a friendship. You showed me love like a brother. Even when I was going through what I was going through, out there robbing folks and, you know, kicking in doors and robbing gambling houses and all that shit, you never looked at me different. You know what I'm saying? You always embraced me, even though I was doing, you know, messed up shit. And you don't find that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I always said, man, this dude, God had to send this dude to me, you know, because I had own family members that turned their back on me and didn't want to mess with me. But you embraced me. And even when I came home from prison, rest in peace to my mother, you know, when she wouldn't give me a place to stay, you know, you was like, man, long as I got a roof over my head, you got a roof over your head.
Wow,
you know,
true.
so
yeah.
that's brotherly love. That ain't friendship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I hear that. You know, it's funny because I would say growing up in, you know, family who's white and the suburbs and everything like that, you know, I just don't, I remember I didn't even consider it like anybody who's outside of my biological family that I would think of saying that they're my brother, but you're totally right. You know, it's like, I remember, you know, when I met you, Rashid, actually, when I met you and your brother threatened me, you know, while I was inside the car with Kojak, which was or George, whatever. It was pretty funny. But then when I came back, you know, later on to, you know, because I had intentions of, you know, telling all of you guys about Jesus, and I had no idea what was going to happen to me. I was like, I knew that, you know, George had said, sorry about that. This is my nephews. They're all drug dealers and addicts and alcoholics and stuff. And then he said, but don't forget me. Come back and visit me. And I was like, okay, I will. And, you know, I thought, crap, you know, these guys just came out of the house and sort of threatened me, you know, until he said, you know, hey, we're praying. And then they were like, okay. And they went back inside. and I thought, what's going to happen to me if I come back? And I remember I came back, and first time I came back, George wasn't there, but your grandma, Rosalie, was there. And I hung out with her for a little while, and then I came back again, and George was there that time. And the second time I came back, I talked to Ryan and I talked to you for a little bit, you know, and it's like I was asking questions, and I remember I was like, hey, you know, just trying to find out about you guys. And I can't remember if it was you, Rashid, or if it was Ryan. It was like, man, why you ask so many questions? And I was like, I don't know. I was just trying to get to know you.
Yeah, you're like the police.
Yeah, right. And so then you told me about what you thought about me at first. But I remember and I want to hear that. But I remember saying to you, or I remember seeing you, and I thought, man, this guy, you know, I don't know, you know, clearly there's a lot of stuff going on in his life, but there is like something special. He's got talent, you know, as far as his speaking ability, as far as his writing ability. I think I did this poem for you, like it was the holy poem, sacred sanctity and chastity, sanctimonious, so harmonious, you know, all that thing. And at the end it says, you know, his arms are waiting for you and him, for you to be reconciled, you know, to being holy or something like that. And you were like, and we finished and you were like, man, dog, that was some fucking tight shit. And I thought, well, I think he liked it, you know, and then you like did one of your pieces for me, and I thought, golly, man, this guy is like really talented. And then when we would talk, I thought he's got a gift, like he's like a preacher, a pastor, and he really cares for people underneath all this, you know, tough exterior and stuff. And I just, you know, and beyond that, I just thought, I just like this guy. I just like hanging out with him. And it was like, you know, the more that I hung out, I think a lot of times, you know, growing up in the church, you know, we learn somehow the discipleship is like the person who's better teaching the person who needs to learn more, you know. And I was like, that's not the way this is going. Like, you know, we're friends. Like there's a bond that we have. And then I think it was you that opened my eyes to saying, hey, no, we're not just friends. Like we're brothers. Like this is deeper than that. And I was like, yeah, man, he's right. Like, why have I been so shallow, you know, all this time? And so I just love that, you know, you're in my relationship, Rashi, is about a lot more than just like a one-way street of one of us teaching the other. It's like we learn from each other, and that's what brothers do. And you know,
right.
Which I think that's true. I mean, I'll open it up to my other brother, Dave. Hey, Dave, you've been quiet.
You know, telling a good story and listening to Rashi talk. I am interested as to what ever happened to any of Rashi's pieces. I mean, did they get recorded anywhere, or are they anywhere we can find them? Or?
I've got one of them. That he and I did. Like he recorded it, and I put some. I mean, it's pretty rough, and I put some background vocals and stuff to it. But you know, we did that. I don't know what happened to the rest of yours, Rashi.
You talk about my music and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Oh, I got something. It's like an underground. I got this song called "Fuck the Police." Because after all the stuff that was going on, so I made a song called "Fuck the Police." Then we got another song I did with this cat that I was in prison. I met in prison and stuff. Named Aries Kaduri. We did a song called World War III. And we did another song. I'm trying to think of this other song. I stopped messing with the cat because we just didn't get along. We did a song called Who Cares. Now that's all of that's on YouTube. You just gotta go to Aries. It's called what's the name? It's the album that we dropped. Chronicles of the Dope Man. Chronicles of the Dope Man.
Right.
Yeah, Chronicles of the Dope Man. So I did stuff on that. And after I finish school, I'm gonna start getting back in the studios. But I just been like focusing on schooling and trying to better myself, and you know. But I'm gonna eventually get back in it. I'm just trying to get my finances and stuff right. So and then I'm getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah, well, and you wrote a lot of stuff that you didn't record, like, because I used to see, I mean, you'd have, like, come out with a piece of paper, and you're like, hey, man, I've been working on this, and then you'd show it to me, and I remember you'd always be like, you feel me, afterwards, and I didn't know what to say. I was like, I am a white boy, I don't know how to respond correctly, you know, I'd be like, that's good, way to go, that's really great. And you'd be like, no, but do you feel me, Peter? And I was like, I don't know what you want me to say. I was like, help me out. I need somebody to translate for me.
Yes, that is very good. I really appreciate that.
Yes, wonderful. That was wonderful, Rashi.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
Yeah. But you had some stuff to touch hard though, man. Like my mother, rest in peace, saw that piece that you did, man, and she cried, man.
You talking about George, that one?
not George Rashid and me. It was the one I think you performed at Wizard of Ass Academy.
Yeah.
And then she cried because it was so deep, like it was God speaking to you, man. It was like that couldn't have come. That didn't come from a regular person, man. Like you was just like, man, I don't care what happened. But if he ever changed his life, man, he said, I'm going to always be his friend. And when she saw that, she literally broke down in tears and started crying.
Yeah.
And she said, she said, oh, Peter's the soul brother number one.
I tell you, though, it's definitely, God does amazing things in our hearts, right? And it was like, I remember, not knowing anybody over. It was back when East Austin was a little bit more East Austin than it is today, but I didn't know anybody. I would drive through there every day on the way to work, and I just was like, I see all these people over here that are not like me. I don't know anything about their life at all. And I said, God, if you give me an opportunity, I'll take it. And then I stopped at a car wash, and up pops George asking me, hey, can you give me some money to buy me some alcohol? And I thought, here's my guy, and I said, no, but I'll buy you dinner, and I go, and so he's like, I don't want me no dinner. I ain't hungry. I'm an alcoholic. I want me some alcohol. I'm being real with you. And I was like, well, I won't give you money for that, but I'll go buy you dinner. He said, where you say you're going to buy me dinner? I said, right over there at Popeye's Fried Chicken. You want to eat at Popeye's? He's like, I like that chicken at Popeye's. It's spicy. And I was thinking, like, are we in a commercial? So it's like, and so we walked over, and I helped him walk over to Popeye's, and we get a meal together, and and then he tells me about his life, right? And God just put love in my heart for George. He's telling me he'd been a drummer. He played with, James Brown and all these famous jazz people and stuff. And then he's like, I wasted my life on drugs, on crime, and alcohol. And I said, well, it's never too late. And when I drove him home, that was when, I pulled up in his driveway. I'm praying for him. And then you guys come out of the house. And it was like, I don't know, for me, something special happened. Like, just meeting you guys, I just thought, these guys are valuable, and why do we not hang out with each other? Like, and the cool thing to me was, like, you kept calling me and asking me to come over, and so I felt special too. It wasn't just like I don't know, I had pity or something. It was an adventure. It was, and I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but something that inside me just said, you know what? So often, I think people go, well, if they don't respond to Jesus, now I'm gonna stop, hanging out with them and stuff. And I was like, that is not the heart of God. God, look up in the sky today. I mean, right now, today, it's sunny, and it's a perfectly blue sky. Man, you get to see that beauty whether you've been good or not. You know, and we get to experience, eating wonderful, amazing food whether we've been good or not. Nothing's going to stop that from happening. Apparently, God loves us and does good to us, whether we deserve it or not. And I was like, who am I to judge whether or not somebody deserves my friendship? That's a terrible attitude that I even have to think that. I was like, I don't want to be like that. These guys are my friends. I care about them, and I'm going to be there for them no matter what happens to them, whether they change their lives or not. And I want you guys' lives to change, but I want you guys' lives to change because I want that for you. I want to see the potential and the beauty and the awesome person that you are, shining. I want other people to know how awesome you are, Rashid. And I think that about my brother too. I think that about my brothers, right? And if we're gonna change in the world, it's not going to happen through legislating laws. It's going to happen through seeing each other as brothers and sisters that are valuable, that were made by God himself. And that means that we bear some amount of his image, and we deserve to be treated with honor and respect and value. And so, I want to open people's eyes to that. I've always wanted to open people's eyes to that. And I've got amazing people in my life who've pushed me to be like that. And, Dave, you treat me that way.
Yeah. Well, I think most of us we believe most people want to be like that.
Right.
Most people want to value other people. And, society is not making it easy these days. But when we get past that and we look at each other as individuals and we see the beauty that's in each other as individuals and we actually experience it. See, most people want it, but not a lot of people take the step beyond to actually try. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of, it can be hard to try. It can be easy to isolate yourself. Oh my gosh, especially this year, government telling us to isolate ourselves, making it even more difficult to get beyond those bounds. But I love it that you barely put a foot forward and said, I'll try, or God, help me to do what I want to do. Help me to do what you want me to do. I know you want me to do that.
Right.
Give me an opportunity. Boom. And it wasn't the only, it wasn't the only opportunity, and that wasn't the only interaction, but it's one that we can, that's had such a journey that's blossomed into so much stuff since then. Yeah. And we're on the end of it, talking to Rasheed, and it's a great story right now. It's a great story right now.
And I think about it too. I mean, Rasheed, like there were a lot of other people on your street that I met too, right? It wasn't just you. Like I met Ryan and Hollywood and Major and Champ and Roscoe. All these different people like in your life. Your mom, George and Rosalie, and some of them have died now, and some of them are pastors now, and some of the other stuff. But it's interesting to me that like, we're the ones who are the closest. You and I are the closest out of that whole, time in our lives that we were, hanging out with everybody on the street. And yet, it's like I talked to Champ the other day, and I haven't talked to Roscoe in a long time. I hear he's doing awesome.
Right.
And then 3 of those people I know have died, maybe more. I don't know. But it's just interesting to me. That's like, even though, still my mentality is, hey man, I love Champ, I love Roscoe, I love all those guys. I would hang out with them all the time. Somehow it worked out where, even though you're not even in Austin, you're in Houston, and we're the closest friends out of that. I don't know. God just does stuff like that. I don't know. What do you think about that? It's like,
no, like Dave was saying, man, we all. So I think, like he said, man, society sometimes, man, won't give it a chance, man. And I see that through life. It's like going through life, and I'm not trying to play no victim role because I done came a long way, you know what I'm saying? But society, like, hold their nose up on people who, how can I say it? What they said one time, man, people feel what they can't understand, hate what they can't conquer. So it's like, people hold their nose up. It's like even with jobs and stuff like that, people won't let you just, like when I went to prison and did my time like that and stuff I tried to get into and plumbing jobs and stuff, they won't let you move forward in life. Right. And I think that's why we can't get along, because man is just so judgmental. And that's what made me gravitate toward with you, because you wasn't being judgmental. You just like, man, here, I'm just like you. I'm not trying to hold my nose up. You ain't come around preaching, saying, hey, I'm better than you, and you need to do this. You weren't coming in my face, shoving a Bible in my face, and none of that. You came around me being my friend, and then eventually it led to you saying, hey, man, do what's right and get your life together. Right. But, you came around and you still that way to this day. You know what I'm saying? But the rest of society is just always, if you did this, we don't give a damn. Go sleep up under a goddamn bridge. We don't worry. We ain't care about you getting a apartment or none of that. Go stay in the slums. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think we can't get along as a whole, as humanity, man, is because everybody's so judgmental. Right. They don't just let you, if you do something, if I done did something, I paid my debt to society, man, let me live my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I've been out of prison. I got out of prison November 18th, 2008. And it's people that still hold, that's been almost 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Is that close? Yeah,
12
over
years
12
ago.
Years,
yeah.
Yeah, over 12 years ago. Only thing I got is tickets, like, speeding tickets or running a red light, stuff like that. I ain't been back in no trouble, but it's sad to say this. Where I stay at now, the lady who who's poured on it and it looked at it and they didn't even accept felons, but it's a nice neighborhood. She just pulled the string from me and said, you know what? I'm going to let you in here because you done changed your life. But I went around to like a bunch of other different complexes, man, and they just, well, we can't do it. We can't do it. We don't care if it happened back in the 60s, man. We don't give a damn. You just go stay on the bridge. You got a felony. You can't work. So that's why we can't get along. But you, man, like, if the world was more like y'all boys, man, like just embracing people, it'll be a better world, man. But I guess it ain't gonna never be that way, man.
Well, maybe that's one reason why we're doing this. I mean, right. That all that feels like, and it is injustice.
Yeah, and
we've made art about these injustices, and we've made art calling out what the Holy Spirit was highlighting and how he saw it. And some of that turned into some business.
Yeah.
Some of that turned into business. I mean, people make podcasts as a business, and this could turn into that. We're going to do that again. Maybe this is even art about some of that justice and injustice and some of that mercy and compassion.
Well, and I think too, you're talking about, seeing people differently than judgments, right? I would say that that attitude of accepting people no matter what, I learned that from you, Rashi. I learned that from hanging out with you guys on the street, over there. And you remember that time when we were hanging out and y'all were all talking about, and I asked you guys a question. I was like, hey man, so what's going to happen whenever you guys get money? I don't know if I said get your paper or whatever. I probably didn't. I said, what happens when you guys become successful and have money and stuff like that? And y'all were all like, man, we're going to move over to the west side and we're going to get ourselves like some real great house and it's going to be awesome and stuff, And I was like, man, do you guys realize that you have something that people on the west side of Austin don't have? And y'all were like, what's that? No, we don't. I was like, yeah, you do. I said, you guys are right here, right now, hanging out with each other. Doesn't matter what anybody did. Doesn't matter what happened yesterday or whatever. You guys are family. And I'm telling you, people in those big houses and stuff like that, they don't have that. That's not, what their lives are like. There's so much loneliness that happens in white culture and everything like that. You guys have something that you need to share with the rest of the world. We need to learn something from you. And I was talking about, white people in general, or just white culture in general, American culture in general. But I was talking to myself too. Like I had something to learn from you, and I'm thankful that, I was learning that. Because I hadn't experienced that I don't feel like I had experienced that kind of friendship and acceptance before. I grew up with a lot of rejection, insecurity, where I was the smart kid in my class and people made fun of me or just, it was that, looking, if Peter made a mistake, it felt like people jumped on it real fast. The people that were my peers, not my parents, but people who were my peers. And I feel like hanging out with y'all was the first time, one of the first times I really felt totally accepted in a peer group. I could just be comfortable being myself. Isn't that funny? It's like I grew up all this time as a white kid in white culture and stuff. The first time I really feel accepted is when I'm a bunch of black guys who are gangsters and everything like that, right? Isn't that funny? Like how God does that. And so I think I'm going over there, on a mission, and God's like, no. I wanted you to come over here because I wanted to help you find healing and find wholeness. And you can find that with these guys who got something to give to you. I didn't even realize it at the time. I didn't even realize that you guys were providing healing for me. But isn't that the way that God does it? When we follow him and we open to receive from him and receive from anybody who puts in our lives, no matter what they believe, no matter if they agree with us or not, then when we get to hang out with those kind of people and we receive from them, we get changed. We get made whole. We get made better. And I'm telling you, we are missing out on a ton of the people in our culture that are just beautiful that we need to listen to. And I think, this podcast that we're doing, like I want to hear more people's stories. I want to hear the people that everybody else overlooks, right? The people that are not famous. They're just, everybody would consider regular every day and shine the spotlight on them and go, man, look at this person shine. And this person amazing. Well, look at this person too. Holy cow. Like, we are surrounded by beautiful people. I guarantee you that if I see the beauty in people around me, God sees way more.
True.
And he wants to call that out of each one of us, right? He wants to call out, our giftings and callings, and that's what we want to be about, right?
Yes. Yes. Here.
Right.
Now.
That's deep. That's deep right there, man.
I was thinking, the opposite of judgmentalism might be intimacy.
Yeah. It's hard to judge.
When you're real close.
Yeah.
And you're still being open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
But judgmentalism, you have to remove yourself and be far away in order to judge somebody. You can't have close relational connection with them.
No. You have to put people into categories in order to judge.
Intimacy is getting as close as you can without any requirements to stay.
Yeah, that knocks down all the categories. It knocks down all the classes.
It's like you can leave it. It's like two hands pushing together, and they can get as close as they can. But if any one of them decides to leave, they can leave at any time. But when the two hands start to grab onto each other, now it doesn't feel right. The relationship doesn't feel right. But intimacy is trying to get as close to each other as possible and always being able to leave whenever you want to. And that's risky. That's scary. And I think we don't like that because we've all been hurt and all been wounded by, having somebody close that then left us or judged us or whatever, right? And then their response is bad and they do something mean to hurt us, and then we think they did it out of malice when in actuality they did it out of hurt. And so the spiral just goes out of control. Right?
Yeah, and you're just talking about individuals when whole classes and groups of
society
people,
does that.
Different societies, communities do it to each other.
Yeah, and unforgiveness just caused that cycle to go more. But then when forgiveness happens, and then when we press back into intimacy, we reverse that cycle, and that starts healing. Healing starts happening, rather than the judging and the unforgiving and the hurt and the pain and the more judging and the vengeance and all that stuff, right? But man, forgiveness is a miracle. It's a time machine that goes and rewrites our past history.
Rewrites our brain.
Yeah, that's true. What do you mean it rewrites our brain?
Well, they're talking about gratitude. I mean, when you forgive somebody, you can't help but have to be thankful kind of for them. You have to rewrite how you think about them, and it rewrites it for you. There's been a bunch of studies that have shown how gratitude rewrites the brain.
Yeah.
And I would say it quiets the noise of relationship between people. That's soul tie. And we're talking about soul tie, kind of intangible things, but in the soul realm is relationships, your emotions, your wills, your ideas and stuff like that. And conflict between people is noise. And we want to organize that noise into music, and gratitude does that between people. Between relationships.
That's amazing.
Boom.
Nice.
You like that?
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. Very good.
Well, that came out of my ponderings on worship, actually. Because of music and how music quiets the noise in the environment.
We need to talk about that more. Maybe we can talk about that more on the next Nevcast. All right. So, if you want to find us, just go look up Nevcast on iTunes, podcasts, or Spotify. Or you can go to nevcast.com and find out more about these three brothers that definitely have a lot in common and a whole lot that makes us different and interesting. That's it for the Nevcast this time. Join us next week when we talk justice, business, and art in pursuit of Jesus. We will see you soon.